I want to address a very important issue today that is life or death issue for many. 6,959 Californians died of opioid-related overdoses in 2023 alone, and that's a 115% increase from just 2019. Many of these deaths were preventable tragedies involving fentanyl. And while these are just statistics, let's remember that there is a family involved in every one of these cases. So I want to ask you, Director Gacki, what private sector tools does FinCEN utilize to help provide data for investigations and enforcement on curbing the flow of fentanyl into the United States? And there is, of course, we're concerned about illicit drugs also coming into our country. So do you have an opinion on effective data and information products from the private sector that can help combat the money laundering that facilitates these drug trafficking?
Thank you, Congresswoman Kim. This is an incredibly important topic for the Treasury Department as a whole. And just last week, a FinCEN team was in Los Angeles, actually, with a law enforcement and financial institutions sharing information with financial institutions to help them detect evidence of fentanyl trafficking so that they can support law enforcement efforts, knowing that the fentanyl supply chain often begins with precursors and different types of dye molds, often in China, coming to Mexico, where it's then trafficked into the United States. Understanding this and sharing those typologies, this is something that FinCEN has been working hard to do, and the event in Los Angeles last week was one of several that we've done over the past year, including at the border and in the border of Ohio and Kentucky and other places.
So I know, Director Gacki, sorry to stop you, but last month I know the U.S. and PRC launched that bilateral counter-narcotics working group, right, to counter this manufacturing and trafficking of illicit synthetic drugs. But here's my concern. I'm afraid that we may be giving away some of our leverage by lifting some sanctions, and once again, we're caving in to the empty promises made by Chinese officials. So I want to direct this question to you, Mr. Nelson. Can you tell us about the role of Treasury in the working group?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And we did participate at a high level in the counter-narcotics working group. And I think coming out of the meeting between President Biden and Xi, we have seen China start to take meaningful action. They've sent guidance to the chemical companies that make these precursors about export restrictions. They did that in 2019, and we saw a meaningful drop in the import into the United States of those fentanyl precursors. We also understand that they've started to take law enforcement action as well. So we do think there's an opportunity from the Treasury perspective to work on an operational level with China to identify those typologies for the use of sort of money launderers and other illicit financiers in support of the transfer of these precursors.
Thank you. We know from experience that we cannot solely rely on the commitments made by Xi Jinping or Chinese officials. So I just want to make sure that we do everything we can to ensure that PRC officials are abiding by their commitments in the working group.